Okay, now we're ready. Sorry. There was some, it was logged out or something. Anyways. Yak e hati adi istakat yuhan gunchish Gwasya shukwa ayi achtuasaku in kachwanegi uski at Jitlishuku at aya hade ayachwagud. Asewe koa do ach away waits at nach ya just wait chash achuch aya do achji at ade achtleken. Chosatina we achuni. Yewe ach in ye jene ya ye ach in ye jechane Kate aya de khankrewuti. Usk aya de Kately. Hukko ayinde wujakak. Khatra. Hey. Hukko a. Khwasaku awa ach Kately awatlit. Kles ade uqat eyi yeko at away kudachuk do hardly. Khatra. Ha. Kakao chakit. Ye awa. Ya khana aya. Ateya kunahin ajawe kakao jakit aya clay kone aya Tlingit to wuch in. Gled kach enach in kachwanigi tsu in kakwanik wishkashnik. Shukwach tosaku in kachwanigi gunchi shuhan kosaku wash jinkat yagi shuahi klesh wush kanachwatu da art yag. Hayuch we ichtite kach. Ya Hawaii aya tlachonachwuk ya achjita sawati ya ke ekachwin seidi has you yuchatangitin we lay shaki lay ach say ach sada aya yewe shtuqa khatati achin has jiwani khal te kat yuhan su konachawe wujin ya gachtutlaach ya hagyuchatangi ya hatuasagul te kat ye ya Tlingit yuchatangi kena saachji ya wa hatuasagul te kat ye ya Tlingit tulla yechi a joyach tu yek wa konach yek gun chish. Anybody want to tell me parts you could translate from what I just said or you were catching?
Well, you were talking about being in Hawaii and getting delay,
Yeah,
and
Even one around your head.
yeah, on my
Hakale, shakale.
yeah, Shaki lay. I was talking about dog poop. Did you guys catch that?
Yeah, and a bigger dog and a smaller dog.
Yeah. So like sometimes I see things on the way to class and I'm like, I want to say that. And so it started years ago. I saw um, people making a snowman, and then I looked at them and I came here. I was like, and it was a different class and there was snow because it snowed back in those days. And I said, chosatin, tleitchach, tleitcha hasautleyech. And so, because I didn't know really how to say it. And so there's different ways to say snowman. But I was walking here and I heard a noise on the left-hand side. So I looked over because I thought maybe it was coming from the bushes. I forgot there's kind of a little grassy area. And there was someone I work with, and she was squatting down like Yende Wichakak. And I was just like, what? And then I saw she had a dog. And she must have seen I was looking at her kind of funny because she said, and the dog was little. She said, I know she pooped, but I can't find it because it's too small. I said, yeah, it's dark. And so that's how I started that whole thing. I guess sometimes that stuff is funny. So like, Hadechwagud. I was walking here. Aqa away. Ya ach tzatnach with duwa ach ach. And then on my left hand, from my left hand side, I heard a noise. Duwa'ach is like a noise. And it really just literally means people hear it. Ade auchtleqain, I looked over that way. Chwasatin, I saw it. Achin yejechanei, one of the ones I work with. So achin, with me. Yejechanei, my working. One of them. Kate dechanchewuti, there was a dog by her. Usk away to Kately, her dog was little. Yinde wujjakak, she was squatting low. Wujjakak is a neat verb. It means for an airplane to land, or for a bird to land, or for someone to squat, or for an octopus to walk. Or I guess somebody could squat walk if they wanted to. And then I was kind of looking at her and she said, oh, Achina kawanit, she told me. Chwasaku awatlichawe achketli, I know my dog pooped. But there's no way I can find it. And there's a couple of fun things in those last ones, which is one, like to say I can't do a verb, it gets really kind of long. And then in Tlingit, you'll find that sometimes to say something, like to say something is big, you could say yagay or shagay if it's a person. And then to say something is small, you could say yekugenk or yeksagenk if it's a person or a living thing. But you can also say yekuk which means it's too small. And you could say yekusak she or he is too small. So it's really interesting when it kind of gets its own verb. So anybody got any thoughts, questions? It's been about 10 days since we got together. Lots of stuff happened. The language summit. I went to Hawaii. Any questions, thoughts, or anything from the gang?
Are they thinking of a follow-up on the language summit?
Yeah, that's a really good question. We haven't, nobody has talked about that yet, but I think it's going to happen. There was a meeting on the last day with Teslin and Gold Belt Heritage and a bunch of other folks and SHI, and Teslin kind of said that they would like to host the next one. So it would be neat. I mean, ideally, there would be a true sense of collaboration so that nobody really owns the thing. And the other part that would be really neat is if it did go to different places. Probably the bigger places, but who knows? I mean, if somebody can host, I don't know if it'd be that big again. I don't know if it would be structured the same or different. I'm sure future ones would really focus on less on documentation and more on just producing language with each other. Is probably what I would lean towards, although I think this one was very effective in a lot of ways. It was probably frustrating in a lot of ways and ineffective in some ways. But any other thoughts about it?
Chuck said something to me about them trying to do video or Skype or something, so it wasn't the expense of flying people around,
Yeah.
but they could maybe do some video conferencing. I don't know how many people, well, we have a lot of people on this, right?
Yeah, yeah. So we typically we get a lot of folks here. There's 13 online right now, or I guess maybe 12. I'm number 13. Wasa duasak doctor Tlingit chinach. Well, kunagu is like one word for doctor. Most of the words for doctor have to do with like an actual like medical doctor. So I don't know. I guess we'll have to look at like Hawaiian and Maori and Sami and see what kind of words did they cook up for people who got a PhD and stuff. But I will say, like I was think I told you guys this. I was driving with my kids, and my daughter said, Dad's going to become a doctor, but not the kind of doctor who operates on people. And she says, what kind of doctor are you going to be? I said, "Yuchatangi Kunagu." And she said, word doctor. So that was a pretty good translation. Yeah. Language medicine? No, I don't, like, echt is a pretty big term. So maybe just, I don't know, I'm just a worker. So anything, you guys get a chance to take in a lot of the summit and catch some of the, yeah, it's on YouTube. I don't know if you guys have had a chance. If you weren't able to attend, you could go to YouTube and look up Sealaska Heritage Institute. And if you watch on a computer, you have the option of switching cameras, and you can pick between the live translation or just the direct feed, and that's pretty fascinating. I think eventually more and more of it will be translated sort of, because the live translation is also a little bit different. There's maybe Thursday, we'll look at the story, Raven Loses His Nose. And I think it's a really good example because Donawak Austin Hammond is telling it, Kudzi Anakatsik is live translating it for him, and then Nora went through and did a line-by-line translation, which I helped to edit. And so it's interesting because then you have these three kind of versions, which is really fun because you could listen to it in Tlingit and you're getting that live translation. And sometimes it's interesting because I think people know some of these stories really well. And so sometimes even if they're translating it, they'll just kind of have their own interpretation, or maybe like there's a literal thing that's being said, but that's not what it means to everybody. So it's really fascinating. Language master, you.
Nagur.
Oh. Kashahitike? You to write it? Oh, wekake? Kashahitike?
Ikaw.
Oh, wait, maybe I'll use this. I'll find it in. Where's that thing? We had a. When was the clan conference last in Sitka? Do you remember?
October 17.
Oh, I guess it was the time before that, because I didn't go to that one.
Time before that it was here, and the time before that it was here. So I don't remember when was the.
Wow, it must have been 2014, maybe 15.
15.
Pretty sure it was there. We had a
17.
we had a language immersion.
13.
And it was fun because there was a speaker in Sitka who was telling me about when the doctors were first coming to Sitka when she was younger, and how she had a job translate. She was a nurse, and then she was also translating for the doctor. And he said, I want you to tell them what I'm going to do and explain to them. And it was really fascinating to see what kinds of things she had to come up with, because like he's like, okay, take off your clothes, or okay, we're going to do like a rectal exam. And she was telling me about this stuff. And then she would say, I was like, oh, that's how you say that. Makes sense. But as far as, let me find this other, what am I trying to do? Find some different ways to say doctor. See what comes up.
At the language summit, I was real grateful for all of the repetition.
Yeah.
So after maybe the 50th time I heard the word Wanganese, I asked Carrie, what does that mean? And she said, sometimes.
Yeah.
But I think I learned it because I heard it so many times.
Wanqanins is really fun. Um, uh, Satqayeqa is another one that we hear a little bit more these days that we weren't hearing for a while. I think it kind of means like finally. Wanqanins is really fun. And then there's like these, we were listening to Qajakti, Dr. Sobolov, and he was talking and he said something like Tlingit uhan wan qanins qoa an qaketan yehaduasaknuch, which was really interesting because he says we are Tlingit, but sometimes people always call us an qaketan. And so it was really neat to hear him say sometimes and then use the nooch when it comes after a verb. It means like it always happens, right? And so it was really neat to hear. Qada yasechi is another way to say doctor. Doctorch. Kunagu, and that might be a nurse as well. So, yeah. Great. Any other thoughts from the language summits or anything? Any language questions that you have?
I really liked that story that John Reese told about Little Wren. I thought that was really interesting the way that he ended it. He said it was an ancient story, and then he went through the whole thing. And I thought I was following it. It didn't make a lot of sense, but it was pretty interesting. So I kind of wrote that down, and I didn't remember Paul Marx's story about Raven,
Mm-hmm.
but I thought those were really interesting that they threw those in there, and all of it was so cool. The one thing I noticed about the men when they were asking them about the boarding schools, they, one of the guys was talking about how even though he said they were teenagers, but they were only like 11 and 12, and they were crying and crying, and the little ones were crying until they realized next door there was a dorm full of girls, all kinds of girls. And he was telling what they were, and they climbed up and looked out the window, and then they also loved basketball. So it kind of saved them. Those were the two things that he talked about, what saved them in those boarding schools. I really like that because in Wrangell, people are talking about intergenerational trauma and language loss.
Right.
So we were gonna be working on that. Anyway, I really liked that.
Okay. Yeah, Paul Marx told Raven and Fire, so he convinces Kuk is what it's called. Kuk is the little owl without, oops, let me just find it.
Without the horns?
Without the tufts, yeah. Kuk is how we say it. Everybody say kuk. It's a very powerful animal in Tlingit. I think from what I've been able to research, it has 4 different names. So it's called Kuk is what it's commonly known as. And it gets translated as hawk owl, which then sometimes gets translated as hawk. But it's a little owl. I'm pretty sure it's what's called like a borealis. But its other names are Askutuqaiqeh, which means sit in the woods. And they say that's what it says. And if you ever listen to its call, you can hear that pattern. But they say if you're in Tlingit country and you're out there, you might hear it saying Askutuqaiqeh. It's also called Askutuyikehwa, which means magic powers in the woods. And it's also called Kushta Yegi, which is, that shouldn't have an underline on the G. but that's land otter spirit helper. And so there's some pretty, it's I was hearing a Kushtikha story and had kuk in there, and then there's yesh ka kuk, and in that story he usually in some versions he's carrying the octopus's nose, and after he talks the owl into going out and getting the fire for him, owl had this really long, beautiful nose or beak. We call it shl, and so it's a nose or a beak is the same word in Tlingit. And when he came back, he was really upset, and then Raven gave him that octopus nose, and he was like, "This is going to be even better." And so it's a really fun story. We've got several versions of that one, but yeah, it's a pretty powerful creature. Okay. Sheesh. All right, so well, let's make a plan before we dive back into Tlingit. So we've got 2 weeks before we wrap everything up. What do you guys want to do? I know I was talked about like memorizing this list of words. If we want to do something different, we can. I'd like to get through. We've got 4 kind of classes left, and it's sort of try and max out how much we can cover in that time, but also make sure we're coming up with a good strategy for winter break. I should know, hopefully by Thursday, there's a language gathering that's going on in Whitehorse, December 13th and 14th, and it's really just sort of folks presenting on what's going on in the Yukon primarily, and also BC, and just talking about just languages and language learning and things that might need to happen. And I'm in talks right now with Teslin about maybe as soon as that's over, December probably 15th through 20th, just doing a 5-day intensive learning and / immersion session. So if anyone wants to cruise to Teslin, I should have more details on that. And then that's the only kind of language news I got. But what do you guys think? Final projects? If we could memorize these lists, I know I haven't really been good about helping you memorize them. We could just do language projects if you want, where you just have 2 weeks to put something together that you can just show us. What works for you guys? What's comfortable and productive?
I have a question.
Mm. Luke?
If I was going to say, Gunnachish achish dikian kau for, and I wanted to say like for my husband and for my sons and for my grandchildren, plus my daughter-in-law. And then I was looking at one of the dialogues, and it was like, got when he got the pilot bread for my mother, and so I had to go back and think about how I would say chish ish, and then do I say all of the nouns and then ga after that?
Yeah,
Okay.
that's a good question. So there's these parts here. So we've got Gunchish, and then we've also got this other thing, which is blank yes. And so as we start to look at dialogues and we want to put this stuff together, the yes part is like, that's who it's for, right? So if you say, you would literally be saying like, I would like to give thanks, Creator. I'm going to give this thanks to my husband, right? Which is probably not what you're really saying. So what I would recommend, because I used to say things like, I used to try and say things like this, and so what I thought I was saying was thank you for the food. But what I was really saying is thanks to the food. I would like to give this thanks to the food, right? So and the yes part, when you're going to use this yes, is like when you're going to give it to the person, right? So for example, and I'm just going to lie because I made this for myself, but I made this coffee to give to my mother. So yes and yes usually have to do with giving it to somebody, right? Whatever you're talking about. And so when I was asking folks how to say, how would I say, thank you for the food? And it was interesting because in English I have this for thing that I need to take care of. But in Tlingit you don't always need that. And so this is what I was taught. That's it. I'm thankful for that food. So you don't need the yes, or there's another one which is kage. And when we're going to use kage, it's sort of like I'm doing this work to benefit future generations. That's when it's going to go kage. And it can sometimes go kage yes. But when it's getting into this sort of metaphorical gifting type of a thing. But so if I was going to say, like goodness cheesh, and then what I would do is I would just sort of make it into, so I could say blank, 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 ach in, has, wusa, ti, ye. So that's how I would say something like that, right? So goodness cheesh really just means I'm thankful for whatever. It can mean thank you, but it can also mean to really be thankful. So you could say goodness cheesh, ya ach shet ach yetki ach in chasati. I'm thankful that they are with me. So for me, it tends to work a little better when we put some sort of action on there, some sort of, it's a state, right? And so what you have, in is the thing. We have the because we have this whenever we have a sati verb. So like shukach adich chatsati, Tlingit ha sati. But when you're going to say, when you're going to tie it to something, it's going to change to sati. So that's how I would take care of that. That'd be my recommendation. And then I've got some, let's see, projects. I'd like to work on a game for my classroom. Will the language intensive be available via Zoom? I could try to do that. I could try to stream whatever we end up doing in Teslin. I'd like to start learning more about grammar. Yes, we could do that. Project also is a side project. A list of Tlingit words with the help of Yacht and Yaktushi. Okay, so 3 votes for projects. Does that work for everybody? If we just sort of, or we could do, you could stick to the words if you want to do the words. I know it's kind of late to shift things. I don't want to make anybody mad. One time I emailed a group of my students. I was like, hey, let's do all this stuff in the next week. And then I was walking to my office, and then I saw them storming to my office. So I don't want anybody like storming the castle angry. But.
Other way.
What's that?
So you went the other way.
Yeah, less work, maybe. Or like not memorization, because maybe we're moving away from memorization. And we'll touch on some kind of more intensive grammar stuff this week. Okay.
Well, can the people who want to do a project, and the other people who have been working on their list since the midterm do their list?
Sounds perfect. You could do your list or you could do a project. It's up to you.
Or what about that letter? We don't.
Yeah, and the letter,
That's a different.
or that letter could be the project.
Okay.
And so when I say a project, I want to see just a fair amount of work where you're telling me what this thing is. So the types of projects that I've seen in the past, you've got 2 weeks to put it together. And I'm totally fine if you're just grabbing the language out of books at this point and putting it together to be something. Let's just share some stuff because we've all done a lot of work. I know the language summits was a lot to take in, and we're going to keep doing more work. But I've seen puppet shows, I've seen short films, I've seen someone who took the promotional video for the Alaska Marine Highway and took all the audio off and put Ed Littlefield's awesome Tlingit jazz music in the background and narrated the video in Tlingit, which was really fun. I've seen, there's been a lot of really neat sort of ideas. And so if it helps put the language out there somewhere, I'm always enjoying that, but I'll enjoy whatever. It could be a dialogue. You guys did great with your last dialogues. You could do another one of those. I would like you to challenge yourself as well, so that hopefully this takes you into some new realm. You got to pick up a few new things on the way, and we can kind of collaborate on it. Because I know but I didn't do very good with the whole list thing this semester.
You know, years ago, Kashka and I developed a little digital story at a workshop, and Jason Oler was the teacher. So it's on YouTube now, and it's well done technically, and Jason put it under, I think, Learning Tlingit.
I think, I saw it.
Yeah.
Right?
So it's really nice. It's got photos that Kashka took, most of them when we were up at Camp Chilkoot. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I think in some of the pictures.
Hmm.
And I've always, the major criticism of that is there's not one word of Tlingit in it.
Yeah, so what I would want, and you could do a video clip, you could do a short story. I want Tlingit to be the majority language by far. If possible, there shouldn't really be. Can we do something where there's not any English? And so there's been lots of, and it could be just a short story that you already know from your life. I had a student who, a bear broke into her house one time and tried to get to her and her baby, which was really scary, and didn't, of course. But what stopped them was a little Fisher-Price baby gate, and it was like a true story. She was living in a cabin, and she did that in Tlingit, and she drew little pictures and stuff, and so it could be whatever you want, whatever seems like is effective and neat, and it could be, so yeah, something similar too. It could be a series of pictures from an event that you're just narrating. A friend of mine who teaches Gwich'in and does a lot of work with other Dene languages found an application which was like $20, I think, and it's called Comic Life, where you can drop these pictures in and you can make a little comic book. And so what if you had like 10 pictures and you had 10 sentences in Tlingit that just says what's going on there? I think that's amazing. That's fantastic. And so stuff like that. But just start thinking about ideas. We've got today, Thursday, next Tuesday, next Thursday. Then the Tuesday after that is our finals, and that's when I'd like you to present us. So it's 2 weeks from today.
How many people are registered here?
Well, we got Jinkat Kadachnach Ichtidei Kach, so it's 12 online. Kleinach, Dachnach, Naskinach, Dachuninach, Kejininach, Tledushinach, Dachadushinach. I'd have to check that. There's probably 20.
So we're not going to be able to all do our presentations in 2 hours.
2 hours is 120 minutes. 120 divided by 20.
I guess I won't be here in finals week. I could do finals before.
2 years on Thursday. So we might have a few on Thursday. What's that? 6 minutes each?
6 minutes each.
Seamless transitions.
Yeah, really.
Well, I mean, if you're doing it entirely in the language, getting to 6 minutes.
6 minutes is plenty, yeah.
So let's try and keep them 4 to 5 minutes, whatever they are.
With someone the previous Thursday.
2 weeks.
Is that?
With someone the
2
previous
weeks from
Thursday.
today's.
Yeah. Yeah. So let's just say 5 minutes,
Then actually the 11th.
up to 5 minutes, and we don't need lengthy explanations in English, which is something that I always do it. We always do it. Okay. You okay?
11th.
Yes, we'll do that. Any other questions? Let me find this. I had something we could do right before a break. Let me find where I put it. I think I have it here.
So that would be December 11th.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Tuesday the 11th. Click. Okay. Chuck's at that. Okay. Well, geez, look at that when I find that one. It's much less complicated than this. But this illustration tells you a lot about Tlingit grammar, but we're going to walk through some of these things as soon as I find
Is that from some book?
this one. I don't think I've got this particular one. I've got it under the posters on tlingitlanguage.com. And then we'll walk through, once I find, maybe I'll find it on the break. Shucks. Oh, maybe I had it. This thing where I walk through the... Anyways. So we're going to start learning about how to look at a Tlingit verb theme and how to put together language by looking at that verb theme. So this kind of shows you a lot of everything, this illustration right here. And so I want to sort of go through what some of this stuff is, and that this is this kind of artificial realm of language learning, but then this is how we sort of learn how to manufacture this stuff, and then through use and listening and speaking, eventually we learn how to do this stuff a little bit more seamlessly. So some of the things is everything in Tlingit, as far as the way it's taught right now, leads us up to start talking about Tlingit verbs. There's a whole bunch of other stuff, but that other stuff is really manageable. There's nouns, which are names. And then under nouns, there's generally just a couple different types of nouns. In the two big categories of Tlingit nouns, you have what we call alienable and inalienable. And what this means is it means it doesn't have to belong to something, or it does have to belong to something, right? And so generally there's just common nouns. Nadak, kayakajit, hit, cake, douche, all these different things, just the names of things. But then you have body parts. Body parts need to have a noun that they belong to. Achjin, achek, achgush, achwak, achle, ach du, ha yi hastu, or kate jin, kate chidi. Kinship terms are also they need to belong to something, right? So that's kind of the two big categories. And really you've got kinship terms, body parts, and then what we'll call relational nouns. And relational nouns are usually like, in English they're called prepositions, right? On, under, around, through. And those in Tlingit always come after the noun. So you could say, Iyanach chatlitzin, I'm stronger than you, right? Yanach, right? Ach yanach itletzin, you're stronger than me. So this is using a relational noun. Yanach means more than, kin means less than. So then we've got nouns that are just sort of, that means that thing, right? So like cake, yeich, chalk, cheech, these short words, they don't have any extra meaning, they're the names of those things. Kayakajate, that means a thing on which people sit on. That's how it's a manufactured word. It's a compound. And so you get a bunch of those. Kita, chasha, kutiya, and these long words, ach-at-dus-cha-at, where you're learning these strings of things. After that, you got adjectives and adverbs. So adjectives modify the noun. You get Kate, Kate Shan, old dog. Ye's Kate, new dog. Ak a Kate, good dog. Shishik a Kate, evil dog, right? So it can just change the noun. You've got adverbs which could change the verb. Klak. So you could say klak wushich, he or she ran really fast. Kashteke nach ugud, he or she walked slow. So they're changing the way the verb is working. And that's kind of, then you get a bunch of little particles. There's a whole bunch of those. But that's kind of the whole bag of everything for Tlingit. And then it gets you ready to start talking about verbs. And a Tlingit verb has a bunch of different components to it. Some of them are optional, some of them are mandatory. It must have a verb root. That root means something. So you say outlet saw. Outlet saw. Anybody ever see that one before? Everybody say outlet saw.
Outlets.
Outlet saw.
Outlet saw.
Outlet saw.
Outlet saw.
Outlet saw.
Do I know what that translates to?
Is it like schlitza, something that smells good?
Oh, ah. That would have the apostrophe in there.
Oh, TS.
And it usually doesn't smell good. Outlet saw, she or he burped. So the verb root, so here we've got this A, and this is, let me do it so you can see. This is how it gets put together. So you have A, Y for the perfective marker, Dl for the classifier, Saw. So look at that verb root. That is a seal, right? Saw, awa, that's a seal. So burping is sealing. That's nice, right? So every verb is going to have these certain components. It's going to have a verb root. That root is going to have meaning. It's going to have a classifier. It has to have those two things to be a verb. Then there's a bunch of stuff that it might have from there. And going, a preverb means something that appears right before the verb. Whoosh, to do it together. Hus, to pluralize either the object or the subject or both in the third person. An object. It might have an object. And so here's the list of them. That's almost all of the objects, right? Chet, ha, yi, zero or ka or k, at, chush. So you've got this list. And you can pick from this list to say, who did the verb happen to, or who is who is that way, right? So if the verb was yak'e, to be good, everybody repeat after me. Chat yak'e,
Yake,
ha yak'e,
Hayake,
I yak'e,
Yake,
yi yak'e,
Yake,
yak'e,
Yake,
ha yak'e.
Hayake,
So that's to be a certain way. So then there's a whole bunch of these being verbs, right? You could say, so you say, Chat yak'e, I'm good. Chat lichan, I stink. Chat yanik, I'm sick. Chat litzin, I'm strong. So now we can learn a bunch of these being verbs, and then we can learn how to use those. Wasayiti ish. Yeah, yak'e. Wasayiti itla. Ah, yanik oe achtla. Right? And so this is a big part of communication. It's just saying how things are. So state verbs in Tlingit almost always take an object. So learning that list of objects is really important. There's a couple of kind of unusual ones in here. At sometimes has special meanings, but atcha just means like eating, right? And then chush, which is almost always appears as sh, which means to do something to yourself. Right? To do something to the self. And Tlingit notes that with a special object pronoun. Then it's going to also push the classifier into what we call plus D. So I could say ich satin. Right? So hua satin, I see. Right? I saw it. So I could say ich satin, I saw you. Yich satin, I saw y'all. Hua satin, I saw him or her. Chuchzatin, I saw people, which is kind of, I don't know if you'd really say that. Atchwasatin, I saw something. Shchodzatin, I saw myself, like in a mirror. And so what we're going to start figuring out is how all these pieces kind of fit together. And we're going to take them chunks at a time. We're going to start with objects, then we're going to start with subjects, then we're going to start doing both of them. And then we're going to start moving the verb around in time and like what we're really communicating. And when we do that, there's a bunch of stuff that tends to pop up right here, in between the object and the other stuff. This is where all the magic happens to move a verb around, to talk about like past tense type of stuff, future, might be that way, let it be that way, commands, go do that thing. That's all, a lot of that's going to happen right there. And it's going to change the classifier and the verb stem, and we'll learn how to do that kind of stuff. Every verb also has what we call a conjugation class. It's sort of this invisible sort of thing that you need to remember for a verb, because that'll tell you how to put it into these other modes. And so a conjugation class is sort of what type of thing is it? Because it's some type of action, basically. There's something that comes to a definite end. There's something that's just kind of ongoing. There's something that's going upward. And there's something that's going downward. And then we'll just, as we learn more verbs, we'll also learn what kind of thing is that in the Tlingit brain. This is the whole, there's a whole bunch of perspective stuff that's built into here. To say, oh, it's a downward thing? That's interesting. Almost all of the state verbs are these upward kind of things. And it's just something interesting to think about. And we know that it's upward when we hear the future form, because we're going to hear K in front of it. K kwa K. It's going to get better. Our language is going to get stronger, right? That K part is it's because the conjugation class, and every verb has one. And so when we look up a verb, like we go to Chaki Shamu's lists of verbs, and we'll go find like, well, let's go to good. So we go to K, and we go to right here. And so this theme It tells us the stuff we need to know, right? This capital letter O, there's an object there. So now we know we can look at our list of object pronouns and put them in there. Chatyake, iyake, yiyake, hasyake. We also know it's a zero group classifier. That means it's going to be zero or ya. Zero or ya. And it will be ya in only a certain set of circumstances. When it switches to ya, we're saying the verb has happened. That's why it switches from zero to ya. When you look at the classifier, right here, it goes plus I when it has happened. That's why we say yak-a, because it is that way. Right? We say shitzin, because it is that way. And so it's built into the Tlingit verb. You communicate a bunch of stuff instantly within that verb. It's communicated very fast. It's all kind of compressed in there. And we're going to learn how to sort of look at that. And then A is the root here. It's a g conjugation. And we can see that in the command form. Igak-a, be good. That's how you tell your kids and your dog and everybody else, be good, right? I say this to my kids, and I'll say, yigak-a, y'all be good. So the command form, to put that command form together, you have to know that conjugation prefix. And so this is something that once you have stepped through the doorway of intermediate Tlingit, you're about halfway through, we're going to start having these conversations. If you go with other advanced learners, they'll have these conversations with you. And so we're trying to build this group of second language learners who are able to, and if you go to fluent speakers, like this is the key is to remember, just because you know this stuff doesn't mean you know more. It just means you had to find a different route to get to the same place. And so if you said, oh, is that a na conjugation class? Like, what are you talking about? Right? But all you got to do is say, how would you command someone to do that? They'll say, nata. You're like, oh yeah, that's na. Okay. And I just need to know that for myself as I build my own inventory of verbs. Because this is how you become a speaker at Tlingit, is there is a bit of a manufacturing process as you build up this collection of verbs so that you can put them into these different modes. Right? Any questions? Okay, and then I'll show you a couple more things on what this thing is showing you, and then we'll back off and do having and wanting and a few other things like that. So then we get into the subjects. There's fewer subjects than objects, right? So to be lovers of things, I love it, or him or her. Chasechan,
Chasechan.
we love him or her. Tusechan,
Isechan.
you love him or her. Isechan,
Isechan.
y'all love him or her. Yisechan,
Isechan.
she or he loves him or her. Asechan,
Asechan.
someone loves them. He or she is loved. Dudzechan.
Isechan.
This du is going to also push a lot of the classifiers plus D. So we went chase, tus, we heard that se, but then it went to z when we went to du. And this is just something that happens. And du it's just interesting. It means somebody did it or it happens, right? Yes. Chatudzachan, I am loved, right? Okay.
And the hyphen there, that means it's attached directly to the verb. It's not it's not separated from the verb.
Correct. Although ha and ye and ka should be separated.
But in the red, those ones with the hyphen are all attached.
Yes, and the subjects are always attached directly to the verb. So the order is always going to be subject, classifier, root. Subject, classifier, root. Then you might get some other stuff in between the subject and the object. And that's where it's going to change the most, is right there. And we'll start watching for that.
So in the objects, the ha with the hyphen, should it have a hyphen?
It shouldn't have a hyphen.
Okay.
There's a mistake on this one.
Ha and yi and ka should not have hyphens.
Correct.
And
Correct.
Okay.
Okay, I'll fix that. So yes, so ha. So in this chart, there's 3 errors. Ha should not have a hyphen. And so this is, and I'll tell you one of the reasons why. Yi should not have a hyphen. Ka should not have a hyphen. And sh should not have a hyphen. Because, and sometimes they're just going to run right into each other, right? Like when we say ya nagut, that's 2 different words. Ya nagut. And so part of this is learning how to see the parts that are there and write it down. And sometimes, you know, we'll work with fluent speakers and they'll say, no, it's ya nagut. It's not. It's 1 word, not 2. We're like, well, it's 2 because, and there's reasons why we're trying to push for this, for it to go this way. So, for example, yisechan, she or he loves you all. It sounds like 1 word, yisechan, right? And we know that it's also, here's another example. We say, this is for something to be dirty. Or we say, wushechech. Wushechech. So to say, I am dirty, how do you think you would say that? I'm going to copy and paste. So we'd say, chat wushechech. Chat wushechech. And then, and so these are going to be objects. But if we're going to say we are dirty, it's going to be ha, but what's going to happen is it's going to contract that. So a vowel before the perfective marker, ha plus w, you're going to get how. It's very predictable. It's going to happen that way every time. So when we say we are dirty, we're going to get how shechech. How shechech. And so there's this kind of rule where, like, here's the root. When we looked at the root, when we start getting more than 3 or more things, there will be contraction. That's just usually the case, right?
by thing you mean?
Yeah, so like the classifier is a thing, the perfective marker is a thing, the object is a
The
thing.
unit of meaning.
Yeah. And then if it ends with a vowel, it's going to cause that to happen, right? So for example, we should be able to predict you are dirty. We're talking a pig pen here.
1 person. 1.
1 person.
Yuchlichek.
Yeah, what? Eu shechech. Eu shechech. Y'all are dirty. I'm just saying how we say it. I'm not saying that.
You.
Right? So again, you shechech. You shechech. And we'll do 2 more. He or she is dirty. Ushechech. Ushechech. A 3rd person object without a subject will always be 0. Okay? And then they are dirty.
Hasdu.
Hasvushechech. Hasvushechech. Hasdu has to be the possessive one, always the possessive one. So there's a couple of things. So we might say, oh, well, the yi does the same thing as the I. It's going to cause that thing to collapse. But there was, when we started doing some more work, and others were doing, I wasn't there, they would say, to say not good or evil, to say I'm bad. Like, keshat ushke, kesh ishke, kesh yi ushke. So we saw, oh, there's a pause there. So there, in some cases, there is a pause, kesha ushke. Like that's how you would say those things. And so that's why it goes this way. So the basic rule is chat, ha, yi are always written separate from the verb itself. Those are the objects that are written separate. I attaches. Where's that? Right there. And so does a. Right? Okay, better take a break. Goodness, cheesh. Did I ever show you guys this thing? Okay. Anybody want to read the first Charlie Brown line?
Telephone chede yiduchuch.
Okay, so everybody, telephone chede itechuch.
Telephone chede yiduchuch.
Yeah, let's just read the whole thing, then we'll come back through. But I want to read what Snoopy.
Nana I wech.
Nana I wech.
Nanani wech.
Okay.
Du in kananik bizik chatzati.
Du'in kananik bizich chatzati.
Du in kananik bizik chatzati.
Okay. Somebody else?
Du'in kakwanik ita.
Du'in kakwanik ita.
Du in kakwanik ita.
That needs a high tone right there. Okay.
Ita.
busy koshlayech.
Okay. Tacha bizich kushayech.
Cha bezik kuchlayech.
Okay, so let's go through this section by section. What can we get out of this part? What do we recognize? I mean, telephone, sure.
Come here or
What's that?
does it come here? Hey there.
Kind of, right? So, chede, and then there's a verb there, right? Iduchuch. So we should be able to recognize there's a couple different parts in here. There's 3 visible, audible parts to this verb. Iduchuch.
Yiduchuch.
I is you. Du is someone. And then we get the chuch business. So Snoopy is going to send us into the verb book. So I think the fastest way is to just use the Tlingit verb dictionary. As we go there, oops, hold on. Yakdushi ye'owa. She says the telephone's for you, correct? And we want to see kind of how are these little cartoon characters using our language. So we're going to go through and we'll say hu and chut and chuch, to call or summon, right? To summon, right? And that's different than invite, and it's different, like, really it means to summon someone over there. Like they'd say, qaqtin wuchuch, called someone over with their finger, right? So now we get you are summoned. Someone is summoning you. So I guess the way I would translate that would be, you're being summoned to the telephone. You're being summoned to the, but then it's just telephone's for you. That's fine. What does he think?
Non I.
Nana I weich. Yeah. Nana'i is a tough one to translate, right? Have we ever heard that one? Anybody heard that one?
Something about that.
Yeah, so nana'i like literally is go die, right? And so it's not a nice thing. It's said usually in a teasing way, but it really, we were having this conversation on Facebook the other night. Nana means death, but it also has something to do with going upriver as well. It's really kind of interesting. There's a lot of Tlingit thought world that goes into that. But nana iweich is probably literally go die there, right? And so it's usually it's being said in sort of a funny kind of a way, but it could be like that could start a real big fight. So it's all about how it's being said. And he's probably, maybe he's talking about the phone. Man, let it just die there, right? Du'in kananik.
Tell them I'm busy.
Yeah, tell them I'm busy. So du'in would be with him or her. And so this is something we're going to see with a few different verbs. They're going to want to use this "een" thing, telling someone news or information, telling them a story, teaching them. And then kananik is the command form, right? So to find, for this one, there's could be kind of a two-step process. We could find neek in the verb dictionary. So here's N, here's neek. Kaya neek. Tell, report, gives facts about, witness, tell about, testify to. And then if we go to, we'll know that this is one that Kakishawu has documented. So we'll see neek, O, K, O, Ka, S, 0, neek, na. So this again, the theme tells us about this verb. It has an object. It has a subject. It has ka, which means a horizontal surface. The classifier is 0. Neek, it's a na verb. So then we'll see it right here, kananik. It's a command form. Go tell. And so this is to report information, to give news. It's that kind of thing. So the command, and we use this one in my house, right? I'll tell my kids, go tell your mom our food is ready. Go tell them to knock it off, right? And so there's good things here in Snoopyville. And then busy chatzati is a cheeky way to say I'm busy. There's other ways. There's one other way to say that using all Tlingit. And so busy, but it's kind of fun. Busy chatzati. What was another one that Johnny used to say? He used to say, what was the one? He used to say, Kachwasa. I can't remember it now. It'll come to me later, probably late tonight. So the other way to say busy,
Dot.
there it is. Achdat at chudzati. And that could also be interpreted as there's important things around me, right? But it just means like busy. And so chudzati means for something to exist, and then achdat at chudzati. There's something around me is literally what it translates to. But it just means like I'm busy, right? But busy chatzati is kind of fun because using Tlingit grammar onto an English word, right? Okay. Du'in kakwanik ita. So this is a future verb. There should be a high tone mark on here. I'll add that. Du'in kakwanik kakwa. I am going to. right? I am going to tell them, or him or her, ita.
You're sleeping.
You're sleeping, right? So same thing, we go into here, we'll look for ta. As you look up these verb roots in the verb dictionary, the way that they organize the vowels is the ones in the front of the mouth to the back of the mouth, so it's a little funky. E comes first, and then A, and then oo, and then ah, right? So here's ta, sleep, right? So then if we might go see what Gishamu has for that one, we'll find it here, to sleep. And so we have ta, ita, chata, and ta. This is one of the ones where it's in the third person, like for it to be happening right now. It's just it's a very short verb, right? Dasaye da ene, or dasaye da ene, ya, what's your husband doing? Ta, he's sleeping, right? Ita, though. And this is going to be a subject pronoun, right? Again, a zero classifier, no object, because we're not sleeping to anybody, right? We're just sleeping. It's na, because there it is. Nata, or natade. Go to sleep right now. That one's pretty fun. That one took us a couple tries when we were doing this, I think, in the other class. Ta.
Sleeping.
Ta is sleep as a noun, and it could be he or she is sleeping, but in this case it's a noun. Ta is just it means sleep. Cha, have we heard that one before? Some speakers use this quite a bit. Cha. Yakecha, yecha we. It puts emphasis on something. We generally translate it as you see, but it's not like a word for word type of thing. But it puts emphasis on stuff. Cha. So they say ye'aweh. That's how it is. Yechaweh. That's how it is. See? And so it just puts a little bit more emphasis on it. So sleep, you see.
So like sleep makes me busy. Or like I'm busy in sleep.
Yeah, busy. And then we get a really interesting construction. And the verb we might hear sometimes as aushayech. Have we ever heard that verb, aushayech? Right? So aushayech, let's see if we can find this one. So aushayech means to build, make, or construct something, right? Hit chashayech, I built a house. Kayachajait chashayech, I built a chair, like I made that, I constructed it. But we use this one to talk about using the language. We want us to be making our language because in the Tlingit brain, we know you have to put that stuff together. But if you say something with the ch on it, and then it means you're going to use that for the thing, right? For example, te kayakajait aushayech. So I'll write this one so that we can see it. So we'll say te kayakajait aushayech. How do you think we would translate that?
It's a stone chair.
He or she used a rock for a chair. So it's for someone to use whatever has the ch, or whatever's being named as a thing. That's how we know which one's which, right? So there's different things. This comes from the Raven stories, and they'll also say, te awe hit au sheyich. He used a rock for a house, right? And there could be different things, like, I don't know, you could say this. He used a cat for a hat, right? I mean, and so but this is what this verb is doing. And so in this, it's a little bit complicated, but I would say sleep makes people busy. And it's kind of a roundabout way. It's an interesting way to kind of get there. This is how the Tlingit sort of structured works. But the base of the verb is to use something as something, right? Not to make something, because sometimes you're going to hear al sheyich, you're like, oh yeah, they made that. But then that's where you got to listen for that at the end. And then the extra X right here is just, it's a repetitive process. It happens repeatedly.
What's the ku?
People.
Ka, ku.
So people as an object is ko. Unless there's a weather verb for that, then it will be ka. Because kuwake is the weather's good. Kayake, people are good. Although,
So you're saying it's only if the stem has a weather term?
yes, if that verb also has a weather term. So, and there's not very many. Kuwake, kusiat, kuwata.
Then you would use ka.
Yeah, then you would use ka instead. Otherwise, I think most speakers would use ku, and it would mean people. A little bit tricky.
Ku in the object chart should have a hyphen, but ka should not.
Yes, correct. Ku will always be attached to the verb.
Mm-hmm.
And any verb that has ku in it, then it has to be ka. You can't have two of them. So like kudziti, ka kudziti, people exist. Ka kudziti, people were born. Okay?
Maybe.
Okay, Gunchish. Nora made that. I think they wrote a letter to, who's the guy? Schultz? Asking permission, and he gave them permission to use any of the Snoopy things to make. So if you want to go make Snoopy cartoons and translate them, you have permission from the guy.
But they had permission.
They had permission. So I don't know if it's like for the whole Tlingit universe. But if it's for your class, if it's for a class project,
You don't need
I don't think the Schultz people will be coming for us if we didn't ask them. If we made a book and we're selling it, then maybe. Okay. Any questions? Is everybody okay? Okay. So let's move back through and finish this chapter. This is, again, paying a little bit of extra attention to how the verb is, the mechanics of the verb, because now we're going to start moving these things around. So this one is to want something. And when you want, and this is also to like something. So this is something, I think in English, we say things that we like a lot. You know, hey, I like peanut butter and jelly. I like long walks on the beach. Whatever. I don't know, I'm making my profile here. But in Tlingit, I don't think you do that as much because in Hawaiian's the same way. You can't really say you could say nice things about something, but to say you like it, you're just going to say you want it. So it's just this kind of thing where you have to say, oh yeah, the languages don't work the same, right? We don't have to talk about stuff we like. And not everybody does that in English, I know that. But, so this one, the verb itself is sigu, which means to be happy. Sigu means to be happy, right? then you put this thing, and so sometimes you can create a whole different verb by adding a specific word in front of the verb. Tuwasagu is different than sagu, and tuwusagu is different than tuwasagu or sagu, right? Sagu would mean for something to be enjoyable or fun or, you know, to cause some sort of happiness, I think. Ach tuwasagu, I want. Ach tuwusagu, I'm happy. They are different things. So the tuwa we should be associating with wanting. Tuwu we associate with emotions and feelings, sometimes with desires as well, right? Okay. This one we're going to change with the possessive pronoun. There are some emotions that do that. So we're going to say, for I want it, ach tuwasagu.
Ahtuasigu.
Ach tuwasagu.
Ahtuasigu.
Ach tuwasagu.
Ahtuasigu.
How would I say you want it?
Ituwasigu.
Ituwasagu. How am I going to say she or he wants it?
Wasigu.
Wasigu.
Tu tuwasagu.
Do.
How am I going to say we want it?
Atuasigu.
Ha tuwasagu. How am I going to say y'all want it?
Ituasigu.
Ye tuwasagu. They want it.
Tuasigu.
Us do tuwasagu. People want it.
Wasigu.
Ha tuwasagu. Right? So I ordered these pronoun cards. I also got these little booklets. Carcross gave us some booklets with new phrases that they've collected. It's a small portable phrase book. I'll bring those for you guys on Thursday. I think I have enough for everybody, but I'm going to wait for I ordered this little index cards that have pronouns on it. So you can just carry it around and you can use that pronoun sheet. It's got all the major ones anyways. So we see this N, and when we have that in the theme, that means noun. Put a noun there. So you could say, Kate tuwasagu. The dog wants whatever. Tzak, wants a bone, right? You could say, Achtla tuwasagu. Or you could say, Achtla du tuwasagu. Either one is fine. Okay? There's also a subject in here, but that it rarely is used. And so when it's used, it means that's the thing that people want, right? So you could say, and usually if a subject pops up in there, it's going to change slightly. So you're going to have N plus tuwa, and then you're going to get with the subject, right? So for example, if they said, Hastu tuwa isagu, they want you. Ach tuwa isagu, I want you. Hastu tuwa chasagu, they want me. So it's a bit of an unusual way where like the subject is actually kind of the object. And this is just something you're going to get with Tlingit. There's a few cases where there are exceptions. But if you did say ach tuwak isagu, that better be your spouse or significant other, because that's what you're talking about there, usually. Although it could be like they want you to go do this type of thing, right? Almost always, though, the subject's just going to stay as 0, right? So, ash tuwasagu se we huk. So the one we're talking about also wants the book. Okay, Juan Shane. Okay.
Achtuasaku wekuk.
Yeah, well, achtuasagu. Yeah, well, achtuasagu too wekuk. I also want that book, right? So achtuasagu wekuk. And then we're also going to get into a little bit of word order stuff here. So the pattern we're going to use is you're going to have the thing that you're going to name it and then say achtuasagu. Okay? So we'll just send this around and you can name whatever it is you want. There's no judgment here, right? So I'll ask you, dasa ituasagu. Then you'll name the thing and say achtuasagu. Dasa ituasagu.
Skede, chaye, yachaye, achtuasigu tle.
Oh, okay. Sagedi yahayi again. Okay.
Skede, chaye,
Oh, chayi.
yachaye.
Okay.
Picture of the beaver.
Oh, okay.
Picture of it? Yeah, what?
Skede, chaye,
Chayi. Oh, yeah, what?
achtuasigu tle.
Oh. Okay. Okay.
Anachsawe, ishwasaku.
Ituasagu. Yatetsu. One claim sagedi nubu. Yedo saka atsu. Sagedi chayi. Okay. Chai. Yedo sago at glekach enach. Sweat lodge.
Lodge, go.
Yeah, well, chai is like a lodge built with sticks. And then specifically, it's usually a sweat lodge when you say chai on its own. Okay, huh? Dasa ituasagu.
Dana. Dana achtuasigu.
Okay, okay. Dasa ituasagu. You just name anything. Achtuasagu. Okay. Dasa ituasagu.
Yaklushe chasakhe achtuasigu.
Okay. Yashi slate aya yakdat yehas ayasak sah. Has a different name in Yakutas.
Oh,
Dasa ituasagu.
Ach chunk. Achtuasigu.
Oh, okay. Okay. Dasa ituasagu.
Nechte achtuasigu.
Okay. Dasa ituasagu.
Acheg, kudasi, achtuasigu.
Oh, okay. Okay. Kachanes. Dasa ituasagu.
Yach Aktuasigu.
Okay. Audagon. Dasa ituasagu.
Ha achtuasigu.
Okay. Anya nachkla. Dasa ituasagu.
Kaslahini achtuasigu.
Okay. Is it Yedikduka Hikeksha? Dasa ituasagu.
Hinachtuasigu.
Okay. Kuchiati dasa ituasagu.
Kayu achtuasigu.
Oh. Kashke dasa ituasagu.
Anet achtuasigu.
Yake Deoji dasa ituasagu.
Katsakne achtuasigu.
Oh. Likud zishawat dasa ituasagu. Elwutaska. Juan Shane dasa ituasagu.
Sadly ye achtuasigu.
Okay. Say everybody. Yacht. Dasa ituasagu.
Saknein ach tuasagu.
Huh. Okay. Did I get everybody? Okay. Kahwa'aq. So, this is, so then we see, I'm asking, then you say, ach. So if I'm asking about someone else, dasa du tuasagu, what does she or he want, right? So we could be talking about somebody, maybe dahuni chatzati.
Donna Dutawasigu.
Dana du tuasagu, yeah, awa.
Gedi. Chai. Yahai.
Chai.
Chai.
Du.
Du tuasigu.
Yeah, awa. Yeah, awa. Dasa du tuasagu, right? So that we're sort of using this and we're just saying ach, du, and we're putting them to use in this verb. In this particular verb, the thing that we're changing is that possessive pronoun, right? So I could be here as like a negotiator. Ha. And you'll say, Khanaya hastu tuyeti. Dasa hastu tuwasaku. Katana hastu tuwasaku. Right? So, so hastu, and so we learn how to use this for wanting. To ask, right? So for example, if we're teaching our young folks to walk around and serve people at the ku'ik. Yawe hastu hatuwasaku. Haskaiwusi. Hinge tuwasaku. Right, so hinge tuwasaku. So I was at an event one time and I was so happy the kids were using language, but they're saying hine tuwasaku, hine tuwasaku. I was like, okay, just say hinge tuwasaku. So you don't have to do that upturn like we do in English, right? So we just put the ge right there.
But the get is the upturn.
Yes, exactly. That's the part that signals the question, right? Dana ge tuwasaku, takaweach tuwasaku nuch. I always want that money, right? So then, but this is the way. Kahwe ge tuwasaku. You want coffee? Click. Hin ge tuwasaku. Click, and then you kick them out, right? But so then if someone asks, you say, And so again, we're learning a pattern. We can naturalize this pattern. So someone says, Hinge tuasaku, that's all you really need. But as we practice the pattern and teach it to others, and just for good practice, hinach tuasaku, right? Or they could say, Kahwege tuasaku, tek hinach tuasaku. And it depends on the context. So do we know each other pretty well? Are you a guest? If someone says, do you want water? I want dry fish. So maybe you do, but maybe you don't know them well enough. Okay. So there are some verbs where there's actually a different verb to say the negative version, right? So for example, you could say yak-e, kesh-uk-e, which nobody says. I've never heard anybody say that. But so good, not good, kesh-ushke, terrible, bad, right? So a similar thing, to say you don't want it, technically it's a different verb because the classifier changes. Once you change the classifier, it's become a different verb. So to say I don't want it, you say kesh ach tu wa ushke. Kesh ach tu wa ushke. And so Tlingit has this thing with word order where the most important thing comes first. So usually if you're saying what you want, you name that thing first. Hinach tuasuk. What do I not want? I don't want sickness. I don't want nasty gossip. But maybe I do. Right? Chayu. I don't want tea, right? And it's not really, you're not really saying I don't like it or I despise it. You're just saying I don't want it, right? And so you could tie this to other sort of concepts, right? I don't want you to get hurt. I don't want you to be sad. I don't want you to leave me behind. So you can use these to tie things together. I want you to study real hard. I want money to come into your hands. Right?
Sheesh.
And so there's a question. Wasa duasak vacation. I asked Kachwan Ish, and he says, Wudursa yes at Paduwatin. So this means Wudus, oh, whoops. I did that wrong. Wudursa yes at Paduwatin. Traveling for rest. Right. And so that's what he came up with for, because we had this little story about a little turtle who went on vacation. So they used a third person verb. And so sometimes when we're naming things, we're going to find like the fourth person is going to pop up. And so this is something you're going to see, right? So you're going to say, this is something that they named in Carcross, the elders did. Adetki adiltiniye. So how do you think what do you think that translates to, and what do you think it is?
I've seen something similar for a babysitter watching little kids.
Yeah, right? So adetki, children, at that place, diltini, people are watching, are caring for, the place where that happens. The place where children are watched after. A daycare, right? So this is how we come up with names for things. There's a pattern, and as we ask them, what do you call a playground? And this is what they came up with playground. Place where people play. Right? And so there's these certain patterns that you're going to start to see as you start to learn more about Tlingit grammar that enables you to sometimes, because sometimes we don't need to come up with an official name for things, we just need to be able to communicate that to somebody. And then sometimes we do need to come up with an actual name for something, but as we were sort of talking about things and we're realizing we didn't want to say playground, we don't want to say, and this one was like, we were bringing a bunch of language into their daycare in Carcross, and so it was important that it had a Tlingit name. And then sometimes we're going to get it wrong, right? And so there was a place where they called it Yidukhidi, and then something got lost in the process. And so you're going to see this quite a bit where organizations want to use the language, but there's not enough internal expertise to be able to catch when something goes a little bit wrong, because when they had Yidukhidi as the name of the daycare, we're like, oh, well, that means like a house for little boys. And there's girls in there too, right? So like Yiduk means like a young boy, and like a single young boy too, like just like one of them. And so Adetki means children. And so sometimes you got to do a little bit of navigating, and the sign had already been like carved by hand. It was kind of ugly for a little, but we fixed it. We're like, okay, cut the bottom off, carve a new one. Sorry, but as you got to make sure that that doesn't become a reason why we stop using our language. We're just going to have to build that expertise in more and more places, build our network so that we can ask about this stuff. Hey, let's check on this before it goes to print, because you might end up with something etched in cement that maybe needs a possessive marker on it, which is the case sometimes downtown. Okay. Yak huchaya dakhyaki khanach gwash gakhilsa ratsu wush khanach gakhtu daat nalchish train ya hayu khatangi daat yeji nei gunalchish. See you guys on Thursday. Ah.
What's the problem?